Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from Delta CX. Welcome, welcome. Please check us out at deltacx.com. We do CX and UX. You want to know more, so you're going to look. And today is episode 125, How to Get a UX UI Job Without Education or Experience. And for those of you watching the video version, I have put on my graduation cap Mickey ears because we'll be talking a little bit about education. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with me and stumbled upon this video, I do not have a traditional UX education. I have a degree in music and I'm about to graduate with an MBA. So I do not believe that people need to have formalized UX education like degrees. But of course, learning some stuff would be great. So we're going to do today's show. I'm going to read my new Medium article of the same title, and I would love to get all of the comments and questions from the chat room as I go. All right, let's make sure I press all the right buttons today. Doesn't always happen. All right, let's try. This button looks good. So this should be the chat room, at least my view of it, my article, and me, and the optional tip jar. And of course, if you'd like to subscribe here, we'd love to have you. It's totally ad-free, and I go live about 4 hours a week with educational and free advice content. And you can also join our Slack networking group at deltacx.link/join Slack. There is no charge. There is no membership. So come one, come all. Hi, Maggie. And hi, Charlene. Yes, thank you. This is a real Disney graduation cap. Story another day. So here's my Medium article. If you like the article, you can certainly find it on Medium, and please share it out. It is called How to Get a UX UI Job Without Education or Experience, and I will be voice acting it and pausing for any comments or questions in the chat room. Many of you send me YouTube videos or articles where someone says that they got a job in UI, UX design, product design, etc. without education or qualifications, and so can you. Can you really get a UX job without education or qualifications? Let's break it down. 1. So far, every video or article I have seen from this genre includes someone obtaining education or qualifications. 0 of these article writers or video bloggers say, I really wanted to work in UX. I had no education or qualifications, so I applied for jobs with no knowledge or portfolio, and wow, they hired me. Every video or article includes someone's road to obtaining education and how they had at least one sample or real project in their portfolio. That means the media's title is clickbait. Even the person making the video didn't get their job without education. They might not have had previous work experience, but they spent months or longer learning what they could. They had at least one portfolio project showing what they could do. So far, every video I've watched that claims to be someone getting a UI UX job without qualifications is a video about their path to becoming qualified enough that someone hired them. They studied on their own. They graduated from a boot camp. They took online courses. They found free or paid mentors. I haven't seen a clickbait UX job video or article yet where the speaker did 0 studying and 0 practice. I'm sure we could find a few where a charming person faked it until they made it, but that's even rarer, especially once UX is hot where you live and heaps of people apply for the same job. Who would pick the person without qualifications? I have no patience for dishonesty or clickbait. If the video promises that you too can get a UX job without education or qualifications, but then tells you how they got or you can get educated and more qualified, that's a very dishonest title. Let's not press like. Let's not clap. Let's not subscribe or follow. Number 2, when and where was this? In the USA and some other countries, there are now so many recent bootcamp grads, university grads, and self-study grads trying to get jobs that it's very hard to be the one selected for an open job. But there are countries where UX is still a very small pond. People claiming to be able to do this work might be hired no matter what their education or credentials are. I remember seeing this in the USA around 2015. There were so many open UX jobs and so few qualified people. Boot camps started popping up and claiming to get people ready fast. Those people were hired within 6 months of graduating, sometimes right away. But that's not the landscape in the USA now. It is the landscape in other countries. So when you watch these videos, pay attention to where people are located and when this was. Was it 2018 or earlier in the USA? Yep. Companies hired any warm body that sounded like they could do UX. Was it 2020 in a country that is just starting to have that high UX demand but still has a low supply of qualified people? Yep. Once the supply of qualified job seekers is way larger than the number of open jobs, everything shifts. People are less likely to get that first UX job with no education and no credentials. Employers can be pickier. In many countries, we have seen employers move the goalposts. Companies that would have hired you in 2015 if you knew how to pronounce UX, whether or not you had education or were any good at UX, now don't want to consider you without 1+ years of previous work experience. Employers are now more selective and care about experience, qualifications, and sometimes education. That means the window in which you can slip into a UX job without education or qualifications is really limited. Once UX becomes so hot where you live that there are dozens of people fighting for each job, employers will raise their standards, and the people who pursued the least education and the least practice will be the least likely to get hired. Number 3. Does trying to get a UX job without education mean you don't know what you're doing or you're guessing at your future job? I can't imagine trying to get any tech job on the planet without some sort of education or qualifications. I can't imagine trying to prove that I can do product management by just showing I'm a well-organized go-getter. Those traits might help, but without education in project management, I'm probably guessing at how it's done. Will I understand product management. Will I understand what makes product management done well? Will I be good at it? Who can say? It's risky for companies to take a chance on me. But what if I can find someone to take a chance on me? That brings us to these articles and Number 4, these articles and videos are cherry-picking increasingly rare success stories. If it can happen to me, it can happen to you, is a slippery statement. It can happen to you, but is it likely to happen to you? And if it happened to someone in 2016, can it happen to you today? If it happened to someone last year in Southeast Asia, can it happen to you in London today? Can it happen to you in Southeast Asia 2 years from now when there might be more qualified UX candidates battling less qualified or unqualified UX candidates for jobs? Now we're dealing with Vegas odds. It is likely enough that it's honest and fair for someone to go around telling people that they can have the same outcome. I got to read that one again. We'd edit this normally in voice acting world. Is it likely enough that it's honest and fair for someone to go around telling people that they can have the same outcomes the successful person had? My first job in the music business in 1993 to 1995 had me working with Steely Dan, Ahmad Jamal, Debbie Harry from Blondie, Elvis Costello, and many others. Would it make sense for me to say that I had that fortune and you can have it too at your first job? There's nothing tying one person's work experiences to yours. If I did something, that's no measure or guarantee of what you might do. Is the amazing achievement a common occurrence in the industry, or is this a long shot that happens to relatively few people? Cherry picking, the fallacy of incomplete evidence, is the act of pointing to individual cases or data that seem to confirm a particular position while ignoring a significant portion of related and similar cases or data that may contradict that position. The articles and videos making it sound like, it happened to me, so it can happen to you, are cherry picking. They're looking at the few success stories and ignoring the hundreds, if not thousands, of struggle stories. Number 5. But Deb, these videos are just pep talks telling people not to give up. Why poop on those? Pep talks are nice. Cheerleading is nice. But I believe that especially in tough job markets, it's important to give people realistic expectations. I don't have it in me to give people false hope about finding a UX job. Also, I'm pooping on clickbait. I wish these articles and videos said, I wanted to work in UI or UX. I had no education, skills, or experience. So I spent X months getting education and growing my skills. Then here's how I got my first job. Here's the types of jobs I applied to. Here's how my resume, CV, and portfolio looked. Here's who ended up hiring me. That would be a great improvement over, you can get a UX job without being qualified for a job that expects you to be qualified. I wish these videos just plainly said, I wasn't qualified and I was unlikely to get a job. So here's how I leveled up more to be qualified. Instead, the titles alone are giving thousands of people false hope every day. There are thousands more applicants than jobs right now, and we're graduating more every month. Employers keep correcting, hooray, I paid my MasterCard bill. Employers keep correcting for this by moving the goalposts, but that isn't decreasing the flood of applicants. I believe that when reality sets in about the ratio of UX jobs to people who want them, we'll see fewer people trying to get into UX. The ones who have it in their blood will keep trying. The ones who thought it sounded fun, easy, and lucrative might pick something else. And that would be okay. The end. Back to me. Thoughts, questions. Otherwise, this is a very short stream. Anybody live in YouTube or LinkedIn have any thoughts, questions, comments? Ooh, wrong button. If there aren't any, we can just wind down. I just want people to have their critical thinking hat on. When we see something that could be clickbait, and I think most of these are, I can't think of a job that would hire you without qualifications. And then my question is always, would you want that job? If you could fool those people into thinking you were ready to do this work and you kind of know you can't, do you want to work at the company that understands UX so little? It's really, it's weird, right? It's like a spiral within a spiral. Well, if there aren't any questions or comments, and of course I have paid my MasterCard bill, for those of you watching the video version, that email popped up. Let's take a look at what shows are coming up next, and we can always wind this one down. So every Friday, of course, is Reaction Stream. I react to stuff that you send in, and you can send things in, though I think I have a full plate already, at deltacx.link/reaction. And a little commentary helps. Amir says, I love your hat and thank you for addressing this topic. Sure. Nam says, thanks for the interesting presentation. What if I want to transfer from a different role to a UX designer? Super question. Keep the questions coming. Normally I'm here for another 45 minutes on whatever topic we're doing. So transferring in from another role is a great idea. I would never tell people, oh, no, you can't do that. I'm not a gatekeeper. I don't know anyone who is, but yet we keep hearing about gatekeepers. I'm not sure they're real. But so yes, you can absolutely transition in from any role. I would still suggest working on your skills. Even when you're coming from something that seems close, like people tell me, well, isn't market research almost UX research? And isn't marketing almost UX? And isn't product management almost UX? And I say, look, there might be some things you've done that will translate, but it doesn't mean that you understand the UX process. It doesn't mean that you're familiar with, as I like to roll this one out, the science and technique that go into our work. If you look too much at Figma and prototypes and templates and canvases, then you're just looking at building blocks. But someone with more skill and experience who's been leveling up will have the science and technique to really know what to do with Figma, to really know what to do with that prototype. And what's the right prototype to make for what reason? Now we're getting into strategy. So I do recommend that even when people are transitioning from other jobs, and I'm not looking at LinkedIn, so I don't know what your job is, don't be overconfident that, oh yeah, I can just waltz into UX and get a junior job or a senior job. Chances are not everything you've done will translate, and it will still be important to get some knowledge, some education, whether that's courses or degrees or self-study. And some practice. You want to make sure that you can apply these concepts because, again, there's a lot of science and technique in what we do. It's not just, hey, I learned to use Figma, I'm a UX designer now. No, you're a Figma user. You will be a UX designer when you're following a great UX process and you are being a critical thinker and a problem finder before you're a problem solver. Let me know if you have a follow-up question. Maggie says, it's very frustrating when companies do not even know what is UX. I've seen job posts for developers, programmers, but use the UX title for whatever reason. Could it be it sounds techy and trendy? Yeah, it could. So I've got an HR training program that's completely free. When you see weird jobs, send this to the HR person, the recruiter, whoever it is, deltacx.link/HR-training. It's completely free. So I'm not selling anything right now. This is completely, I offer this video course completely free, and I'm trying to help companies understand how to better attract and retain workers like us, because I think they're not doing the best job. So yeah, any other thoughts or questions from anybody today? Oh, I'll go back to what's coming up. Let's see. Tuesdays, of course, are office hours Ask Me Anything. So every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m., I take live questions. All questions are welcome. They can be newbie questions. They can be experienced leader questions. I'm happy to take all of them. And let's see, don't forget Thursday, the 9th of September, welcome to September, will be our podcast on storytelling and UX research with Michelle Ronson. So come on back for that. We've got some more questions in the LinkedIn chat today. Lots of LinkedIn questions today. Good to see everybody. Amir says, how can we at a company form an innovative model that would be win-win for both businesses and someone new in UX apart from internships? Yeah, so we actually have a previous broadcast on that. If you go to YouTube and you search Delta CX, because that's the name of this channel, apprenticeships, you'll see my program on apprenticeships. It's also on the deltacx.com website. And basically, I think that we have to move towards apprenticeships. Very often, internships are for people who are in a university program or got a university degree. But let's face it, many of us have not done that on our path to UX. I haven't. Maybe you haven't. And if you have, I certainly respect that and cheer you on. There's nothing wrong with either path. I believe that more businesses have to go in the direction of apprenticeships so that they're not leaving out people who didn't do a university course. So I would say apprenticeships are the way to go. But from what companies have said to me when I've spoken to them about it, they typically say, why should we invest in coaching and mentoring and training a UX newbie when they're just going to leave after we invest all that money in them and train them? And my answer always is, if you know it's that bad to work here, why don't you do something about it? Because if it's good to work there, they're going to stay. You must know it's not good to work there. How about you fix that? That conversation usually ends quickly. Isenur, I'm sorry, I'm not good at names, or maybe Dr. Isenur says, how can I find a UX internship in the UK? It seems all the companies are looking for mid or senior UX researchers. Yeah, great point there, similar to the previous question. There are very few internships, there are very few apprenticeships because most companies want someone who can hit the ground running and do the work. Very often you are the only person working on a UX project when you get into a corporate job, sometimes a government job, sometimes an agency or consultancy job. And so that means that those companies are typically looking for experienced people who can hit the ground running and be put on a project alone. When we think about people who are new and transitioning in, they're really still learning. They might even be guessing. And so they really need a lot of mentoring and coaching. That's not a bad thing. It's an important thing. It's who our next generation of talent is going to be. So I'm for it. But a lot of companies are not doing it because they think we have mission critical work. So let's get people who already have a few years of experience and can just start working. I think the problem is that in a few years, they'll say, where are all our people with 2, 3, 4, 5 years? We've cut off the pipeline. So I'm trying to inspire companies to open up those apprenticeships and that training. I have not been tremendously successful yet, but I think it's a conversation we need to keep having, because the question will be, who will be our seniors in 4 or 5 years? And right now, I'm not even sure. Right now at many companies, it seems like your senior UX people in a few years are going to be visual designers who like Figma. That's not right. What happened to all the other things we do? What about our researchers? What about all of the user-centered design process and human-centered design process? What about all of the problem finding and problem solving? It can't just be visual designers who use Figma, says me. Charlene says, the place where I'm working has a graduate program and an apprenticeship. Yes, great. There should be more of that. Yuvra says, thoughts on network review platforms like ADP and coffee hours. Although there are a significant number of widely experienced professionals giving advice, I notice in my juniors that these can kind of make you... Okay, so the question looks a little cut off because YouTube cuts off questions, but I think I'll try answering what I think you're asking. Let me know if I get it wrong, Yufra, and good to see you, by the way. So what do I think about those platforms? Whenever you're looking for a free mentor or a paid coach, it's really important to go find that person on LinkedIn, because I've seen people on ADP lists who have 1 year of UX experience. They're like minutes ahead of you in their career path. I'm not sure that's the right person to mentor. Otherwise, they could mentor on how did I get my first job, but they're probably not going to be able to do significant mentoring or coaching on the actual work you're trying to do. They haven't been doing it long enough. When you think about who you wanted to learn piano from, you didn't want to learn piano from the person who started learning piano a year ago. You wanted to learn piano from somebody darn good at piano. So whether you're looking at ADP list, coffee hours, me, someone else who says they mentor or coach, just go put them in LinkedIn. And you're looking for specific UX experience, not UI or development or creative direction. You're looking for specific experience in the area that you need help with. If you are looking for help with UX research, you are looking for them to be a UX researcher, I would say, for at least 4 or 5 years. If you are looking for help more on the UX design side, you are looking for them to have done serious information architecture and interaction design for at least 4 or 5 years. Otherwise, with fewer years than that, I tend to think mentors or coaches can mostly coach you on, here's how I got my first job, maybe it'll work for you. So check everybody out. And I also know that ADP list turns down a lot of good people. I've heard a lot of bad things about ADP list. So again, I'm not recommending them. This is certainly not sponsored. I am not saying that that is a good way to go. I'm just saying that as you look for mentors and coaches in your world, maybe on people you admire on LinkedIn, since many of us do coaching, look them up. Make sure they have the experience that says, yeah, I want to learn from this person. This person is wildly experienced. This would be great. So make sure you're checking that out. I10 says, Debbie, how do you know if companies offering you a proper salary for your level? They all say they'll make sure you get paid appropriately based on your experience and skills, but how do we know if it's really true? For many UX jobs, it's hard to find ranges on Glassdoor and so on. It is really hard to know, and it also depends on a lot of things. It depends on your level. It depends on the company and how mature they are. A startup might pay less than a company that's been around 5 years. It depends on what else they're offering you. Do they think they can offer you less because they think they have such wonderful perks and extras? And again, country and region will vary. I've seen salaries going down because people are like, hey, you're working from home, so we think we can pay you less. I think that's banana pants crazy, but there you go. So I can't tell you, ooh, you know what, you should be paid X. I've seen salaries, even around America, a salary in San Francisco is not going to look anything like a salary in Charlotte, North Carolina. The North Carolina one might even be half of what they're offering in San Francisco. A company like Facebook offers people twice the amount of money I've ever made in my life, but you have to ask yourself if that is an ethical match to you. You could get paid very well by some of these companies, but will you be glad you did? Can you look in the mirror? Can you sleep at night knowing how unethical some of these companies are? But they pay a lot so that you will put your ethics aside and go work with them. So I think these are things to look out for. But one thing I recommend to everybody is no matter how you're trying to transition into UX, either it's your first career or it's your third career or whatever it is, get that mentor or coach for your actual work, not just somebody who can advise you on a career. Anybody can tell you career advice. You can watch. We've got hours of content on that here. But someone who can really look at your work. And that's why we want that expertise. We want the expertise because we don't just want career advice. We want that expertise because we want someone to look at your research plan and go, no, I don't think that's really the right research plan. I don't know, where you studied this, but well, not that I'm trying to be accusatory, but let's look at another way to do this. You might not have learned it correctly, or you might not be applying that knowledge correctly. And so let's look at your research plan. Now let's improve it. Let's challenge it. Let's see where it could be even stronger. Now let's rewrite it. Come back to me again. I'll look at it again. Okay, now it's looking good. And you've got your screener survey planned, and you've got your questions or the tasks you're going to have people do planned. Now we're ready to go. Now it's time to recruit. How are you doing that? I'm checking in on you. How's that going? Now you're inviting people, scheduling people. How's that going? I'm going to check on you. Then you're going to do your first interview. You're going to book one. And you're going to send it to me, and I'm going to watch the video, and I'm going to go, ooh, newbie mistakes. Let's try to fix some of those before you develop a bad habit. Okay, and I send back a reaction video of watching you do your interview. And then you do another interview. You can send it to me again. So it's a little bit slow. It's a slow motion project, but it's going to be a huge learning experience. And whether it's a real project or it's kind of a made up fake project or personal project, passion project, it's still going to be a learning experience. There's so much you're going to learn by doing, and by getting a mentor or coach who can oversee it at that level. It should be able to kind of have you learning by doing and learning while doing it. So I think it's so much better than I'm going to take a bunch of courses and now I'm going to do a real or fake project, and no one's ever going to look at it but me, and I'm going to give it to a client, and I sure hope I got everything right. What if you didn't? What if you were guessing? What if you got it wrong and it's a real client? When these people go, oh, I'm going to go do pro bono work for a charity, I go, hey, guess what? A charity needs good work. The guest work could actually hurt them. If you guess at personas and they're not right or they're not done well, and then the charity uses them, you could send their strategies in the wrong direction, their decisions in the wrong direction. It's not worth the guessing. So, and to me, the difference between a mentor and a coach is a mentor doesn't charge and a coach does. Otherwise, I see them as doing potentially the same things. Any other thoughts or questions? Otherwise, I can wind it down. We'll just do a short stream. Totally up to all y'all. I'm happy to take your questions, especially about finding jobs, especially about some of these videos, the clickbait videos that say you can get a job with no education or no qualifications. Hi, Sarah. Sarah says, it is so hard to find someone to look close at your work. Even after you find someone and you have a great portfolio, companies want real-life projects and professional experiences. That's true, Sarah. That's why I tend to say that a lot of the things that I'm doing with some of these people who have made up projects or passion projects or projects they found on one of these websites with free projects is it's a learning experience. It may not be a bridge to a job, because you're right. Employers moved the goalposts because they were like when I was working at some job jobs in like 2015, 2016, yeah, about then, they would hire anybody from General Assembly barely without checking them. General Assembly was better at the time. I was in San Francisco, which is a pretty strong place for UX, and you could get hired almost before you graduated General Assembly. Then the quality of General Assembly fell. A lot of other boot camps came up. They were mostly low quality and sadly still are. So employers were like, well, great, now we don't want these people. How do we fix this? And at the time, the employers were putting out the word on the street. It was really a rumor. We don't want people who go to boot camps. There was a rumor at the time, if your resume says General Assembly, you are unlikely to be interviewed. It was like, it started to be a bit of a curse. And what people thought was, oh, I should just go to a different boot camp. Oh, they're not hiring from General Assembly. I'll go to Career Foundry or some other place. And they weren't getting the message that the problem was the boot camp education not making people job ready. Not that you didn't go to the right boot camp. The boot camps generally don't make people job ready. So what happened was the employers moved the goalposts. They said, well, F this. If we can't stop all these boot campers from applying, we'll just move the goalposts. That's it. We're not going to consider you if you haven't worked in this world at least a year. And that's hard because that means pretty much you have to have done an internship or an apprenticeship. You could have done some freelancing work, but check my video. Search YouTube for Delta CX refund. And I have a 10-minute video where I walk through the refund policy for Thinkful Bootcamp on how do you get your money back guarantee if you don't find a job within X amount of time. And you will not believe how many ways they have for that guarantee to be null and void. Including freelancing, which is funny because many boot camps say, hey, you may not get a job right away, so, just go freelance. But meanwhile, in the fine print, it says if you freelance, we're not going to give you the money back guarantee. So Sarah, you're right. I would say you might have to kind of shift your paradigm a little bit here and think about the mentoring and coaching. Oh, here comes something from Aitan. The mentoring and coaching more as an opportunity to learn and improve your skills so that you are leveling up in the phases of proficiency, that you're going from I know some Figma and Sketch and I like to wireframe to holy cats, there's science and technique behind this, maybe even some strategy. That's really what this would be for if you're not in your first job yet. There are some people who are in their first, second, third jobs, and I do coach them as they do real work because they are still learning. Michelle Ronson has come on the show and said, you're not usually good at UX research until you've done it about 3 years. And I think that's probably true too for a lot of UX, not just research. Aitan says, yep, I remember I signed up for a Catch a Fire to get some UX experience by doing volunteer projects. And one guy who contacted me said, I myself know UX. I read about UX. I know wireframes. I dropped the project. Yeah, there's certainly a lot of misunderstanding, and I remind people when you go to these websites that supposedly have all these UX projects, I've never yet seen a UX project. I've seen things called UX projects, but almost always they are marketing or UI. They want something made prettier or branded, or they want something fixed in isolation. Improve our landing page, improve our email template. Well, that's not UX if it doesn't have a UX process. If I look at your portfolio and you say, here's the old email template, I made it better, here's the new email template. I say, this is user-centered, sorry, it used to be over here, I moved it. This is user-centered design. Where's the user in this? Did you do any research? Did you do any testing? Is there anything that looks like user-centered design or human-centered design? Or did you just, okay. So, a warning about some of those things. If they're not helping you level up because you're having a coach oversee your work and you're getting better at what you're doing, and it's not really a UX project, what are you doing? Why are we doing this? Why? It seems so much like wasted time because then I'm going to look at your portfolio and go, I'm sorry, this looks like web design, or this looks like visual design, or it looks like branding and identity, or it looks like marketing. I'm not seeing UX here. And I don't want people to waste their time on those projects. The same is true for hackathons. I ignore hackathons in portfolios because a hackathon is what you guessed at, in a day or two. It does not have user-centered design or human-centered design. If you want me to see, you'll hear a lot of people talk about they want to see in your portfolio your process or your thinking. And I don't mean design thinking. I mean your actual thinking. What was your thinking process? What critical thinking, I'm talking critical thinking, went into what you did? How were you a problem finder and then a problem solver? These are the things I'm looking for, but they don't happen at hackathons. At hackathons, we say, what's a problem? Ooh, what could we build? You know, it's like thing, solution, go. And usually there's no users involved. Nobody says, is this the right way to go? Is this even really a problem? We have all, hands up, who's been to a startup event where you met one or more people who had their startup ideas, and as they're telling you their pitch or startup idea, you're like, this is a terrible idea that nobody will want ever. This is such an unfortunate waste of time and probably money. I remember meeting one guy at a startup event some years ago, and he was like, we're making an app so that surfers can coordinate going surfing. And I said, well, what's wrong with email, texting, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, Telegram? He's like, no, they really want an app to help them coordinate surfing, you know, like which person's going to drive and which beach should we go to? I'm like, what about any of the things I just said is not working for them right now, that they need this other system? Well, we met with surfers and they're really excited about it. You see what's going on there? So we have to be problem finders and make sure that there is a problem and that it's a real problem, and we have to understand the problem before we can hope to come up with the right solution. There's a lot of fake UX approaches out there right now that want you to just rush to a solution. Hey, just get people in a room and put up sticky notes and you're going to come up with solutions. Well, hold on. Did we really understand the problem? That's where the world of UX really shines. Otherwise, we're just professional guessers. And I think we can do better than that. Any other thoughts or questions while we are here today? This isn't office hours Ask Me Anything, but it's almost turned into it. So I'm happy to take questions relevant to the article that I just read and relevant to people's questions about getting that job, especially if they don't have education or experience. Yes, that's me. Anita is here, only one of my favorite people. Not that I play favorites, y'all. But Anita just apprenticed on a project that we did at my company, and she was fabulous. And I thought, like, wow, I should find a way to hire her. But then she got a job, and that is amazing. Anita says, hi, Debbie. I want to know how juniors could be thinking about how to design their design careers. Not just growing your skills, but figuring out what you'd ultimately like to do in or with UX. Yeah, to me, it's try it. You never know till you try. I started out very much as a strategist and a designer, and I wasn't really doing research at first. I was more of the person you brought in when you wanted someone to kind of really understand what's going on, and then, you know, because someone else did the research or had the information, and then I was going to do the actual prototypes and come up with those solutions based on the strategies and the customer problems that usually someone else had already researched. And then, I guess I started doing testing in 2011, and I started doing more research in 2013. And I found, like, wow, this really feels good. This is a really good natural match to my personality and my friendly nature and liking to talk to people, but also I think, and again, this sounds like I'm just tooting my own horn, but I think my good natural abilities to read people and to get good information out of them and to get them to trust me quickly and be open and willing to share things. So I started doing some research in 2013, and I just found it really clicked for me. And so I still did a mountain of design, but then I also started doing research. So I was kind of that mini unicorn where it was kind of like research, information architecture, interaction design, prototyping, testing. But I still wasn't doing much content, and I still wasn't doing much visual design because I'm not a strong artist. And that's kind of where I still am today. So I never ended up in visual design. I didn't choose to try to strengthen my skills there. I'm kind of happy being mediocre at it, and I'm happy to not do it because I love the research. Now I love research the most, and I love design kind of second. But if you gave me just design, I would still be happy. I think you just have to try different things. And if they click for you, then you can go in that direction. If it's not clicking, you can try a little more, try a different coach, try a different project. And if it's just not clicking, you can take that as a sign that maybe it's just not for you. That's the way I feel about visual design. I have seen my own artwork, and it is truly mediocre. And I think there's people who are so much better at this than I am who should be doing the work. Just because I've been hired doesn't mean I should do everything. I'm always happy to defer to someone with more talent or skill or experience or all of those than I have, and give that visual design, branding, content, some of that other work to someone else. So Anita, I would say that as you start moving through your career, try different things. If you start doing more design and you're just like, I could do this, but it's not really making me happy, then, try more research and see how you feel about that. And you're allowed to keep changing and keep reinventing yourself and keep evolving. I don't want anybody to think that they have to, never change. This isn't a high school yearbook. You get to keep changing. So yeah, keep trying new things. And as for designing your career, to me, the design is just openness and trying new things. I never set out to say, okay, I'm going to just do strategy and interaction design. And then in X years, I'm going to start interviewing people. Like, I didn't have a plan. I just ended up landing projects that allowed me to try these different things, and I went for it. Anita says, that helps. Thank you. Thank you. Good question. So we've been talking today about getting a job, especially without education or experience. And can you? Or is that just clickbait? I think for the most part that it's clickbait. So let's talk about the realities of trying to get a job if you do not have education and you do not have experience. And right now getting the experience is hard. I can't fix that one yet. Anita says, yes, I'll try to go with the flow more. Well, look, you're just starting. You're about to start your first official UX job, and so there's plenty of room and time for you to flow. You don't have to have it all figured out today. I'm always surprised when I meet people and they're like, yeah, I'm going to be a hybrid unicorn everything. I'm going to do everything. And like, they don't even have their first job yet. And they're like, I'm going to do everything. And I go, well, how's anybody going to hire you? Because like if I think that I need someone with 2 years of experience in information architecture and interaction design to give them a UX designer job, how are you going to get that in everything? Like, if that's where the goalposts are now, maybe it would just be better for you to start out with one area so that you can try to get the experience and knowledge and skill. And let's roll this guy back out. We'll put everything on the screen today. Get that strategy and science and technique in one area before you try to get it in 6, or before you try to get it in 3. So that's what I think. I think it's better for people to start out with one area of UX and to be able to show you are really proficient there, really tune up your skills there. And then down the road, you can always add more skills in other areas. But if you're the person with 3 months of experience in design and research and front-end development and visual design, I'm not interested, because you don't have enough experience in any one area where I can go, yeah, that I'm going to have them do that at my job, at my company. And especially for if we want to be agile. If we want to be agile, should one person do all of the work? We recently did a project this year. I've put up slides about it in episode 116. Don't forget to drink when I say episode 116. And it was, we did, I'm forgetting the numbers right now, but I think it was 370 hours of research and 210 hours of interaction design. And my point was, if we just try to put one unicorn on that, that's 19 weeks of work. There's no way a company claiming to be agile and wanting to go fast and fast and fast and what can you have ready for me in a week? There's no way that they're going to wait for you to do all of that stuff. And I think that's where specializing is going to make a comeback, because we're eventually going to see UX done in a more agile way. Researchers are doing their research and testing while designers are doing their thing, and we're kind of going along and feeding each other. And then when certain aspects of the designs are tested and ready to go, we feed them into the engineering backlog. And I think the assembly line is eventually going to look more like that. But right now, when they say, oh yeah, you're the UX person, great, get all of this done for us, and they usually give us no time. It would be, especially if you're going to get no time, you need a lot of people. You know, if you're gonna expect research and design and testing and iterating to happen, and they're giving you 2-3 weeks, you need 5 people. You know, you need like a whole pile of UX experts. It can't be just you. You're not going to be able to get everything done. You can barely recruit for research and testing in 5 weeks, in 3 weeks sometimes. Recruiting can take forever. Well, I was on a project earlier this year where I freelanced for somebody else's UX agency. And they thought it would take, I think, 2 weeks to recruit. And I think it took us 3 months. It hurt. It was a little bit messy. So yeah, a couple of thoughts there. And also, if you're new to UX, you know, obviously check out this channel. It's completely free. It's ad-free on purpose. It is low sales pitch. And what else was I going to say? Check the micro lessons playlist to learn some stuff here. And check the numbered things that I call the live streamed podcasts. All these numbered things have their own playlist here too. You can kind of browse through those topics and see what interests you. Most of our shows do run about an hour, so it's a little bit of a time commitment, but if you find me easy to listen to, you can certainly run it at 2x. Any other thoughts or questions on getting a job, especially without education or experience? Because we started out with my Medium article making fun of the clickbait articles that are, or the clickbait videos. People are sending me videos, you know, oh, I wanted a UX job, but I didn't have any education or experience. And I got that job. But then they tell you the story of how they got enough skill to get the job. So it's like, well, did you still, I think your title is clickbait. You had something you could show them that you got, where you got the job. But if you're coming in just now, roll back and watch from the beginning, and that will make more sense. So again, if we are done for now, then that's cool by me. Again, Fridays is reaction stream. All the streams are live. You can join in and ask your questions. They're usually at 6:30 p.m. Italy time, because I'm based in Italy. Fridays are reaction streams. Tuesdays are office hours, Ask Me Anything, where I just take questions on any topic. Not today, we had a specific topic. And as I said, Michelle Ronson will be here on Thursday the 9th. And let's see what other shows we have. Oh, Monday the 13th, we're going to do how to interview better by answering questions in a more concise and compelling way. I know that's going to be important for a lot of us. Tuesday the 14th is a special office hours with Darren and Dr. Nick. Wednesday the 15th is going to be my MBA graduation. Though this hat is not from that. This is from when I did a class at the Disney Institute, which I'm a big fan of, as everybody knows. Disney shirt today, Mickey ears. I'm going to do a micro lesson on interpreting moderated and unmoderated research by request. So we'll learn card sort, tree test, and unmoderated usability test, how I interpret those. What else? Delta CX live show. Okay, Monday the 20th, we'll have Julia DeBari here telling us what questions we should ask in interviews, so we can make sure we're going into a workplace we would actually want to work at. The 27th is our second panel on the realities of UX work. We're bringing in people who are in their second, fourth, fifth plus jobs in UX to talk and answer questions about what working in UX is really like. John says, what's the date on the interpreting episode? Oh, interpreting unmoderated is Wednesday the 15th. And don't forget that you can always check the Delta CX events calendar, deltacx.link/events. Everything that's happening in the Delta CX world, whether that is live, is in this calendar. It's just a cheesy Google calendar, but you can add it to your Google calendar. And then you will know. So check out Delta CX events, and it lists all of these. I'm just looking at my Google Calendar for what's coming up. So we've got lots of stuff planned. What does this say? September 29th. Oh yeah, I just booked this one. I'm so excited about it. September 29th will be Bettina, and I think I spelled her name wrong again. Bettina is going to be here to talk about what we in UX should know about crypto and NFTs. I know nothing. I can't make sense of this stuff at all. So I'm going to be very happy to talk to her. She seems to really know her stuff in this area. And she was also a mentor at our Concentric conference a few months ago, for which I am very grateful. So that's most of the September program, including the recurring Friday streams and Tuesday streams. So I'm going to play us out of here since it seems like there aren't any other questions. So thanks to everybody who joined, especially some new names that I haven't seen before. And good luck with your UX adventures, and we'll be here to support you. And I will catch you all very soon. Be safe. Bye. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are